It is right now Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas everybody, but the crypto space never sleeps, and that's sometimes the bad part about our industry. The fact that it's a 24/7 market, and you can't really just go sitting around celebrating because there's news to take a look at, there's price moves to take a look at, and there's a portfolio, to cry about, at least sometimes. Today though, I can't say it's crying time. I mean, if we're taking a look at the market, a couple of interesting moves have occurred. One of my bigger holdings, 𝗕𝗏𝗀𝗀, funny enough, is up like 40% throughout the day. I'm not sure if this is refreshed or if it's still yesterday's data. No, it's still up. So that has done really, really well. A friend of mine bought the dip at 65 cents and went crazy, so I bought some. I've talked about it multiple times, mostly on TikTok, and that's because I find it so ridiculously dumb, the whole concept behind it, that I decided to buy it. Even though it sounds like the worst idea ever. Sounds like the biggest top signal out there. Anyway, movement also doing amazing. I hold a lot of that. But generally here, today's been kind of like a neutral day of sorts. And why am I saying that? Well, because Bitcoin is up a few percent, but it feels like the most of that move was yesterday. And today, there's really not that much change. And with regards to our trades, I kind of count that as some free time off, Not really anything moving. XRP right now at $2.27. From our average price, that is pretty juicy. But we're not up 100% anymore like yesterday. We're only up 80% or so on XRP. And Bitcoin, I believe we're up 64% before, right now about 57%. But generally speaking, not that much a change. If we're talking liquidations, by the way, it's also quite neutral the last few days, with actually the numbers going down rather than up. And if we're taking a look at recent liquidity, the most interesting level to watch is definitely going to be above us at roughly $100,000. But funny enough, the real big moves come all the way back at, like, for example, 72,000 or perhaps 120, which was my own target for, the initial move this bull market. But interesting thing is also that the leverage is actually quite low. I think because a lot of it was wiped out over the last few days here, as we had a pretty interesting dump after getting to 107. So that move to 107, Ethereum to 41 something. All that caused a lot of short liquidations, and then they moved downwards pretty swiftly. A lot of alts flying also sent a lot of leverage away. But anyway, in terms of news, a couple of interesting things are going on in the background right now. One of which is that Russia is using Bitcoin in foreign trade, says the finance minister. Now this is a little bit of a surprise because just yesterday I saw an article that said Russia announces a 6-year ban on cryptocurrency mining in 10 regions, citing energy shortages. So the fact that that came out and this came out quickly afterwards. Anyway, also in the same time, the IRS says crypto staking is taxable. So you might want to act as if you've never watched this video, because obviously you did not know that. Another interesting thing in Paradise is, if you're asking, hey, what was the Bitcoin price at on Christmas every single year? Well, in 2010, it was 25 cents. 2011, it was $4 per Bitcoin. In 2012, it was $13 a Bitcoin. 2013, it was almost $700. 2014, it was $319. 2015, $450. 2016, $900. 2017, $14,000. 2018, $4,000. 2019, $7,000. 2020, a big step up, $24,500. 2021, $50,000. Then again, 2022, a big slide back to 17, I'm going to say actually, 1,000. 2023, $43,000, and now 2024, $100,000 practically. And so if you start looking at that, indeed, in this case here, few years of up, a year of down. So actually 1, 2, 3, 4 years of up, 1 year of down, and I guess 1, 2, 3, perhaps next year as well, still up, and then again down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So up, 1 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down. Yeah, maybe there's a little pattern to that, to Bitcoin in that sense, huh? I mean, it's not like we never talk about the cyclical nature of it, but it's kind of funny that perhaps even there's a Christmas indicator that showcases when the market indeed moves down. And by the way, if you're looking for a good present, you already know what to give, right? At the end of the day, I keep reminding people of this, but cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, are still at its infancy stage. And so we're joking about the amount of Bitcoin that Michael Saylor is buying and how it could go wrong. We sometimes talk about it. We sometimes joke about what if. But generally speaking here, I really think for the most part, it's only up. We're at like the smallest stages of it still. We're like the start of the run up. And every single coin you see here, 50, 100x for most of them, minimum. I mean, if you start thinking about it, right now we're talking about $100,000 Bitcoin. I think in 20 years from now, we could be talking about, oh, the good old times, huh? We're going to be a lot older watching, hopefully still talking together here. We're going to be much older talking about the good old times. Just like how I right now talk about the good old times when Bitcoin was below $1,000. We're not right now talking about the good old times that it was below $100,000. And I think it's kind of funny. Maybe if I were to record right now, for example, a video on Christmas Day saying, hey, right now Bitcoin is $100,000 on Christmas Day. I really want to see what it's going to be like in a year from now. You know, today, Christmas Day, Bitcoin is at $98,000. We'll look back in a few years from now, and then we'll see just how high things are going. If you're asking me, is there any strategy for the trades over Christmas? Are we doing anything special? So for the most part, I said before that I'm staying kind of quiet around these days because there's a lot of volatility. Also because we got to buy ourselves pretty cheaply in a pretty good price a few days ago. And right now it's just a matter of, hey, there's a lot of volatility around the new year, around Christmas time, as a lot of people are off. I am not so sure where things are going to head on the short term. Let me stay back a little bit. Right, let me stay back a little bit. And man, I just saw a post. You guys know I dabble in meme coins, right? You know there's a coin that just launched. Somebody bought the dip. He bought $2 worth. And they just sold on his ass, you know? It's now worth less than 10 cents. I just find it kind of funny that some people are out there buying it with $2, which I get, you know, that's completely fine. But the fact that they literally took it all away from him and it's now at zero just shows that sometimes you have these success stories of people putting in 7 cents and it going to $1,200, whatever. Some crazy results. And sometimes people actually put in $2 knowing full well they could lose it, and they do. Because some people are hungry for whatever dollar you got. You had $2 in a dream, and oh boy, did they crush that dream, huh? Now, to get back to my story, what I just said of, hey, we're just at the start. Are you getting the memo? Multiple U.S. states considering strategic Bitcoin reserves. I keep saying, if Trump now comes into office, it's going to be, I think, in my opinion, a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a WAR. I want to call it a battle, right? Let's tone it down a little bit, over which country is going to be the first to build the proper reserves, is going to be able to use it for everything, and properly integrate it into their system. And at the same time, there's just going to be sort of races for whoever can get the most amount of Bitcoin as quickly as possible. Just like how MicroStrategy right now is expanding their Bitcoin acquisition plan by some very grave amounts. I kind of feel as if his strategy of just buy, doesn't matter what the price is, he recently bought 106,000, will eventually turn out to be such a good idea. Because if we take a look at MicroStrategy's charts, right, and this is what I often like to put up. I don't have it open right now. Let me see if I can quickly find it in the midst while I'm talking. But there's a guy out there who bought a few dollars worth of Bitcoin or worth of crypto every single day. You want to know the fun fact? He put $83,000 in and was able to flip it into $1 million. Why or how or what's going on with that? Well, the thing is, if you just keep it up and you buy consistently, I tell people around this, if I'm going to a Christmas dinner now, I'll tell them this. If you just buy every single day, but most people don't have that kind of money. You just buy every single week. You don't have that kind of money. Okay. You buy once every single month. You might not get yourself the best average price over that month, but over a few years, you'll get yourself an extremely solid price. That's why I say maybe, you know, if you're thinking of doing that, maybe do it twice a month. So your average is significantly better, most likely, because the more often you do it, the better your average price will be, I think, right? You could get really unlucky with that, but once a month can be really iffy. Twice a month, you're already putting yourself in a good spot. Even if it's, I want to say $20 a month, because very often on these platforms, you need to buy $10 each time. Some people don't have $20 a month, and I get that. I see it in my own circles that people do not have it, so I completely am in touch with reality still. $20 is a lot of money to a lot of people. I will quickly say, though, if you also want to trade, make sure you check out the links down below to either Blowfin or WeX, and make sure you press that like button if you haven't done it yet to spread the Christmas joy. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, because, I mean, what is there to celebrate, right? Our bags are not up. No, but to get back to the story, I think overall, you'll turn out to be, okay, so that person I think bought, I'm not sure what the amount was, if it was $30 a day for a few years. He put $80,000 in over that time period, and it was worth exactly $1 million. Now, if you've done it for the stock market, you'd be up a ton as well. And I always tell people, just keep investing, keep it up. As long as you do not give up, it will turn out to be an extremely good decision for almost any sector. that generally speaking goes up. And the crypto sector is that, the stock market is that. You could say the same thing about bonds. There's some default risk, but theoretically speaking, it's the same. If you keep putting money in, it will go up. It's just the severity and the volatility that are different. But when it comes to crypto, I think if you just ignore that a little bit, the volatility in the short term, you just look at it over a longer term scope. Again, there's guys here trying to get to $100 billion in assets in this class. For you, I think the goal is just put as much money in as possible over prolonged periods of time just to get yourself more exposure and stop being a little whiny ass. You know, see it as a gift, the fact that you're able to buy for these prices right now, and then the fact that you found it. I always thank myself still the fact that I found crypto quite early, but ultimately it's also how you react to it. Because I found it really early, but I didn't have as much money at the time, so I couldn't really do much with it. If I had just consistently kept on buying whatever money I had every single time, which I didn't do, I did buy pretty well, but I would say, really believed in it more like I believe in it now. I could have had maybe 10 times the amount of Bitcoin that I have today. Now, obviously, that's the same by saying, hey, if I just never sold anything to buy anything, and I don't want you guys to think like that. I don't want you guys to think like you should only be stacking, but ultimately, the stacking sats type of joke around there, and that could be the same for any crypto that you love, by the way. I'm just always giving Bitcoin as the main example. The stacking sats thing is just the idea that if you just keep stacking them up. I remember being in Miami a little while back, and we're all joking about like the Lightning Network and stacking sats and how everybody just wants as many Satoshi as possible, even if it's the smallest parts. And I never really, at the time even, I still really didn't get it that people cared about the smallest of smallest parts. But then I realized, if indeed, eventually, it's going to, for example, $100 million of Bitcoin. I'm talking like 50 years in the future, whatever. Or let's just say $5 million of Bitcoin. One Bitcoin can be split up into 100 million parts. If you're getting yourself like 10,000 Satoshi, all that stuff, which right now is basically free, it's not, but you get the idea. Then indeed, at some point, it is going to matter a lot. Just like how when Bitcoin was only $1,000, 0.01 Bitcoin was $10. But right now, it's $1,000 if you get my drift. So, the idea behind, just $10 is nothing. Well, the amount of Bitcoin changes a lot over time. I remember getting 0.0003 Bitcoin a lot back in the day. And when it's $10,000, it was always easy to calculate. Oh, it's $3 that you're getting. Right now, it's already $30, a few years later. And I have to say, when I look at some of the transactions, and I'm like, thinking of the amount of money that it is, the 0.014 whatever Bitcoin. And it's kind of funny that now it's 10 times as much as the last time that I checked it, or maybe even 50 times as much as the last time I checked it all out. If I look at some old wallets now, for example, that have not touched in at least 8 years, it's going to be funny to see the value change because I know the amount of Bitcoin is the same. Or, for example, I've had some wallets where I had an automated 0.0 whatever Bitcoin sent there. I wonder how much is in there now because I've not checked it in at least 6-7 years. And again, the money was denominated in Bitcoin. Still on the story. I just want to say, if you really start thinking about it from a 10-year scope and not like a 2-month scope, you really start understanding what the power is of compounding and of getting yourself as many coins as possible while they're still cheap, because I think they're all going up. And yes, it's cyclical. They might go down in the midst, but they'll all go up over time. And that's my pitch. That's my story for today. Spreading the Christmas cheer. I hope you feel warm. Hope you're having a good time. Hope you're spreading the love, spreading the, I don't want to say the message of crypto, man. Keep that to yourself if you don't want people to ask you too many questions. Maybe don't start talking about your cryptocurrency investments at the dinner table. If you're celebrating something like that, I know a lot of people do not. I don't find it a big deal, but for some of the people that do, Merry Christmas, brothers. Anyway, last thing I'll say is, a while back, whenever you're around like the Thanksgiving table or Christmas, like, how's your crypto investments doing? And everybody laughing at you. But right now, we're on the up and up. Bitcoin, $100,000. Whoever looked at you funny last time, right now knows you're up to something. But yeah, that's about it.